What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers That Filters podcast, episode 71. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and tonight I'm living the high life, baby. I can't stop. Once I got back on the train, you can't get off. You know what I'm saying? Loving the high life.
All right, I'm Joseph, and I am drinking Voodoo Ranger 1985.
Ooh,
That's a new one.
I
It
haven't
is a
heard of
new
that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it until I was scrolling on Total Wine's website and picked some up. It's got some cool vaporwavy
I
can art,
like that. I like that.
and it's like a super fruity and juicy. It's a India Pale Ale with mango flavor and spice.
All right, dude.
Huh.
I might have to look for that this weekend.
Yeah, that sounds up my alley, dude.
Dude, it's super like smooth. Oh, I love it. It's really good.
Hell yeah.
I'm Gabe, and I'm on the same fucking train as Jacob because I also have a high life.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had a craft brew, but we decided to postpone recording, so I wasn't gonna not drink it. Yeah, with the highlight.
So my question is, do two high lives make a low life? Is it like double negatives there, double positives?
No, you're just living the highest
A
life.
double positive, man. Some say we're living the highest life.
If it was PBR, I might agree with you. White trash, I'm in trouble. But but we're drinking the champagne of beers here.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
classy beer, okay?
Yeah, the Champagne
Yeah.
classic. And I'm Dayton, and I'm drinking a new seltzer. One, I think I talked about it last week. It is the Arctic Summer Black Cherry flavored. It's made, I think it's like an East Coast brand. So it's made by, I think it's called like Polar Seltzer or something like that, which is made up in Mass. It's pretty good. I think I don't know. It's probably about like the same tier as like a Bud Light Seltzy. So I think I rated that as like a B class. So it's definitely above White Claw. I think, yeah, Truly's, some flavors of Truly's can go up to bat with this. But yeah, other flavors just kind of fall flat. But yeah.
So they're their own thing. They're not owned by any other larger corporation.
Not that I can tell, I don't think. Yeah, it's crafted under the authority of Massachusetts Bay Hard Seltzer Company, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Oh, thanks. They only do seltzer.
Yep,
I like
guess
it.
so.
Now, Dayton, you got to remind me before I come out there to pick up some Minnesota seltzers.
Oh yeah,
Or,
because
yeah.
we need to do a taste test.
You got to put them on the ranking. Try not to forget. All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. As always, you can find our show every Monday on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Play. I almost said SoundCloud for some reason. That's still like habitually in the back of my brain from the old days. We'll be back on SoundCloud eventually. It's just like you got to pay extra money for unlimited space on there. Not about that. We don't make any money on the podcast.
Yeah.
Tell you this, if everyone who listens to this episode goes and subscribes to our YouTube channel and pumps up our views and we make money on ads on YouTube, we'll go back on SoundCloud. And as always, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EWF Podcast. You can follow us on Twitch at EWF_podcast, where we record every episode live early if you want to come. Like I said before, see how the sausage is made. I know you guys don't like that expression, but I'm going to keep saying it because I like it.
Because sausage is not something you want to see how it gets made.
You really
like
don't.
hot dogs,
Pretty-
fuck that shit.
Fucking gross.
Doesn't
It's
that
like
tell you
that-
you shouldn't be eating it?
I mean, I eat brats like
No.
a gentleman, so
Dave,
Brats
have you ever
are
seen
sausage.
have you ever seen that video where the chef makes chicken nuggets for a bunch of kids and they're like fucking disgusted? It's
They
like,
eat it anyway.
Yeah, and then at the end he's like, now who will eat it? And they all raise their hand. The video's so funny.
my plan failed.
The chef is so disappointed. He's like, I'm gonna, make these kids understand where it's coming from, and they don't fucking care once it's in its final form. Like, yeah, it's chicken nuggies.
Scumbo baby kids.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
So Dayton, you're kicking us off tonight with our first topic.
I am. So this one started um, rumbling around in the back of my brain, in the emptiness of the back of my brain. Um, when I
Lights on,
was
nobody's home.
yeah yeah I was mountain biking, and so I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast yet, but I've been looking at getting a new mountain bike. I've been using this mountain bike for now probably like going on like 4 years now. Um, and I mean, it's still like a very capable mountain bike, but it's just starting to get like a little bit old. And I've had like a few like minor issues with the frame, like with the sizing of it. It's just like a tad bit too small for me. And the frame is also just like a little bit too weak for me as well. Like I can like flex the frame when I pedal really hard.
Because you're so strong, to be clear.
I mean, it does.
Or is it
It,
because you weigh too much?
it's probably a
Oh.
combination of all two of those, and then the fact that it's smaller than it should be. Because something that's bigger than what I have probably won't flex as easy. Um, so I've been thinking about getting a new mountain bike, but then I sat down on one of my mountain biking, trips, and I was sitting on this rock, and on my mountain bike just perched up against like this rock on the ground, and I was like, damn, that's a good looking bike. And I was like thinking back to like all like the really good memories that I had with that bike, and I was just like, man, do I really
And the one
want
time you don't really remember riding the bike.
yeah. Yeah, the one time that I don't remember
With
what happened.
no seat attached.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I was just like thinking, I was like, do I really want a new mountain bike? Like, think of all the great times that I've had with this one. Uh, and that got me thinking, like, why is that? Like, why do I want to keep this bike that is objectively worse than almost any bike that I could get on the market right now for like at least like $1,500? Um, like, why do I want to hold on to it? And I think part of it, at least for me, is because like I've ridden this bike for 4 years. Like I know it like in and out like really well. Um, and I think that's the reason, at least for this one experience, is that I don't want to have to learn something new. I don't want to have to hop on a new bike, learn how it handles, learn like a different style of riding and everything like that.
Mhm.
Because then it's kind of like what I'm forking out like 3 grand or maybe even more for like a new bike, and then I have to like put in time to learn how to ride it again. Like, no, hell no.
So you're talking about things that you treasure and are familiar over getting the newest and greatest thing.
Yeah, the newest hot gadget, the
Yeah.
hot
Even on
gadget.
paper. Like on paper, it's a pretty easy decision, right? But then you start bringing those dumb emotions, and it
Mm-hmm.
becomes really complicated.
Yeah, because if you put it down on paper, it's like, okay, mine's got a 2x10 drivetrain. I can get like a 1x11 or even like a 1x12, which is objectively better for mountain biking. I can get something that has more travel, better rear suspension, has a dropper post, doesn't have a rear derailleur or the front derailleur to worry about, has thicker tires or wider tires. Like, what the hell?
Hmm. Yeah, I feel that. I definitely the first thing comes to mind for me as like a possession that I'm just like I'm so familiar with, and I don't want to learn anything new is my car. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really love my car, and I love how it feels. And like whenever I have a 2011 Ford Focus, um, and it's like a small regular car. Whenever I drive like a larger vehicle, I just get like anxious and like scared because I don't like driving something that's bigger than I'm used to because I'm gonna hit something, and like the accelerator never feels the same as your car.
Mm-hmm.
My parents have like a Kia Sorento, and like I hate their accelerator 'cause you have to push down so far to get like the same response, and like you can't feel the engine as well because it's high off the ground. I don't know. I'm very very familiar with how my car feels, and I'm got a feeling it's gonna stick around for a long time because even if a car is on paper better than mine, um, I just have so much familiarity with how it feels to drive,
Mm-hmm.
and it's scary to give that up for something that you don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that because I just got a new car a month ago at this point, and leading up to that decision, I was like, man, I'm so fucking ready for a new car. I had it before. I had a 2005 Jeep Liberty. It was getting up there in miles, and it had a lot of like nothing that would like completely stop it from working, but a ton of small issues. It drove me up a fucking wall. So I ended up getting a new car, but I wasn't able to sell it at the dealership because they wanted like $500 for it, and it was worth way more than that. So I drove the new car back, and I was just like obviously very happy because I got a new car. And then I drove it for a few days, and then I went back to pick up my old car, and I just remember like how fucking slow and like all the shitty things that I didn't like about it just like came back in that 20-minute drive
Yeah.
back. I was like, this thing fucking sucks. Like, I'm so glad that I have this new car that I have. And then I went to sell it, and it sold within a week actually, because like Corona checks were coming in, so like someone just bought my car with the Corona check.
$1,200. That's how much you priced it for.
well, I got it. No, I got it for 2 Corona checks.
Oh.
I put it just under. I was smart.
Okay.
But I remember just like I cleaned it out, I was taking the pictures, and I just got really, really nostalgic about it because I'd taken that car through I don't even know how many whiteouts. Like I took it to fucking New Mexico, like literally halfway across our fucking country, and I just had like a really deep connection with it for some reason. But at the same token, I fucking hated it sometimes. It's like it quit out on me when I was like driving to interview out here before, and like there's just some other issues like it's always squeaking, always rattling. Like I had the music up so nothing like so I didn't hear the problems, which is terrible. But it was just I don't know. It was on its last legs, and I realized that. But I still couldn't help but feel like I was getting rid of a part of my life because I mean the car that I got now. So I have a 2016 Volkswagen Golf. So obviously it's not as winter capable as a Jeep Liberty. So there's multiple memories of me just like I said in whiteouts or in like super fucking shit deep snow and having that thing like rip around, and even like in the mountains and stuff. It never like I don't know. Like I just really like those memories with it, but I don't like the memories where it's just pissing me off. But I don't know why I was still attached to it. I feel like at that point I should have, I would have been ready for it. I've been like, fuck it, like all these things. Obviously, I got a new car because of those things, and it still came to me.
Yeah, that definitely makes me think of like rose-colored glasses, like.
Yep.
Because I mean, like I said, like with my bike, like I wasn't. I mean, I obviously still have it. It's literally sitting right behind me, so I can't talk that much trash about it, or else it'll hear me.
Might
or
hear
something.
you.
It's listening.
Yeah. It'll start acting up even worse next time I get to ride it.
Yeah, good thing you're gonna get rid of me. Try without a chain, bitch.
Can't sell me.
Yeah, can't sell me if I'm broken, bitch. But like, at least for me, like I think the very next ride I was like having some like mechanical issues with it where like my chain kept on like skipping when I was like pedaling really hard, and I was just like fuck this bike, dude, like just want to get a new one, like. But yeah, I think for Gabe, like for you, like you obviously hear or you think of only the good memories, but then when you start driving it again, you're like, nah, I don't miss this at all.
Even on the drive to pick up the new car. So one of the issues was the transmission would kind of freak out between gears 1 and 2. It would just like hitch and not shift and kind of like lurch really hard. And it happened like, I don't know, once every 2 days sometimes. It wasn't terrible, but that's a sign that like, hey, there could be a problem down the road. And I also had
Literally.
yes. I also had some like other head gasket issue that is potential. But anyways, as I was heading to the dealership, it did it like 3 times in a row. I was like, you fucking piece of shit. I'm so fucking done with you. But,
Gabe gets out of the car and just starts kicking it.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, Gabe, is when you sold it to that schmuck, you drove away. It's your problem now.
Oh, that was the weirdest thing. It was a woman and her boyfriend, and usually there's some haggling, for the price, and I didn't hide any of the issues at all. I was like, I put it probably $300-$400 more than what I would have taken it for, just assuming that people were going to talk me down. And I was very clear with all the issues they had, and like I let them test drive it. And I told them all of the things that came up, and they didn't haggle me at all. They're like, okay, here's the money. It's like, dude, Okay,
Okay.
whatever.
Not gonna tell you
It's
no.
not my problem anymore.
Yeah. I don't know.
Joseph,
Some
you have
people
any-
respect the honesty, though.
That's true.
Joseph, do you have any items that come to mind?
I mean, recently I straight murked my phone. Um, and I was hesitant to buy a new one just because, well, at the time, initially, it was still like passable. And then I broke it some more, and it was not passable, barely, hardly usable. So I was like, all right, I'll just like go on eBay or something and buy like the same phone for cheaper.
Hmm.
Because it's like I like the phone, other than me dropping it like an idiot, no issues with it. Like I like it. It's again comfortable. But then it's like, okay, I've had this phone for a year and a half, and if I spend more than, a couple $100 on it, it's not going to last me. Technology degrades pretty quickly.
Mhm.
How long can this honestly like still be like good? And like, I don't know, I'm the kind of guy that I like a nice phone, like I use it every day. I want something that's like fast and nice and shit like that. And I don't know, the more I thought about it, it's like it's almost 2 years old. That's generally the half-life of like a phone, right?
Yeah.
After 2 years is when you generally start thinking about getting an upgrade for the most part. And so it's like, so I'm gonna spend $200 to $400 now, and then in maybe a year spend another 800 to 900 if I get a new phone after that. Like that just why not just spend that money now and have it last me longer? So I just got a new phone. But I don't know. I don't.
Were you nostalgic for your old phone, or once you got the new one, you're like, oh, nope, this is good.
I mean, I still have it here. Like I still have it at my desk, mostly because I don't know what to do with it. But I don't. I don't give a fuck about it.
Run over it.
I mean, no, but I don't know. I want to
Ever since
try
you
to
got
sell it
the,
for scrap if nothing else.
ever since you got to Minneapolis, Joseph, you had bad luck with phones.
Yeah,
Your first one's stolen, then replaced, and then you murked that one. It dropped
yeah.
a couple times.
Which is weird because I've always been like very careful with my phone. I've never had issues with it before. I've never broken. I mean, like maybe when I was in high school, like I had an iPhone 4 and the lock button breaks, but those
Mhm.
buttons sucked on all those phones. So I don't know. I don't really get a lot of nostalgia for stuff like that. It's weird small things that I get nostalgia for that I like keep around. I don't know, like I end up keeping a lot of knickknacks more than like my car, it's a car, it's a tool. My bike, I like my bike. I just bought it, so I'm not gonna like upgrade right away.
Dude,
But
I would
like
hope not. Use that for like a month.
yeah, exactly. So like I don't know, but like small stuff, I don't know, I get a lot more nostalgia for like I've got like pictures or like drawings that my nieces and nephews have given me, and like I don't want to get rid of that. Which like I guess that's different than but like even
Or
like
go up to him, hey, draw a nicer one. I need to upgrade this picture.
but like
This one's 2 years old. It's kind of the half-life of these drawings.
I don't know, like I'm trying to think. I just keep like random shit sometimes. Like I have a hard time throwing away the box that things come in. Like the if I buy like the new phone I bought, I was like, ooh, I like this box. Like this is a nice little like box.
But what are you
And I
gonna
know
do with the
Gabe has
box?
his still because I was thinking about it
It's
the
a
other
nice
day.
box.
But what are
It
you
is,
gonna
but
do
what are
with
you gonna
it?
do with it?
It's cool.
Recycle it. If
You
you're
know,
not gonna
I
use it again, then recycle it.
I
It's
still have
pretty.
my box for
Look
my
at
phone that I
this.
bought 2.5 years ago.
It's just clean and it's like sleek.
Except
Yeah, it looks nice. I
I will
like
say
when
I use mine to keep like my tools, like my phone tools in.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, my
if I
SIM
had at least a
card
use for it or
thing
something.
is in there. Yeah.
like when I bought all like my computer parts, I had the same thing where it's like these are cool boxes. Or like my laptop. Like I still have my laptop box at home because it's like a cool box. But like, what the fuck am I gonna do with it?
I mean, computer parts I get because I mean I'm glad I kept my boxes now that I upgraded. I can sell my old ones in the boxes and stuff. But and like
Yeah,
transporting, it's nice. But uh,
but
yeah,
yeah,
Cool.
like I don't really have much nostalgia for like my car or like my snowboard. Maybe my snowboard, but I don't know. My last snowboard, I was like, fuck it, I don't use it, sell it.
Yeah.
And like, I'm looking at getting a new one. It's like, I don't know, this one isn't really what I want right now. So I'll just get a new one, and I don't sell the old one.
Mm.
I don't know, stuff like that. I really don't have nostalgia for, especially cars. For some reason, I couldn't give a fuck about cars. Like, I like my car. I don't want to buy a new car, but like, I don't know. I think because like growing up and like working on a farm for like 3 summers where I was like driving 3 different style cars or vehicles every day, where I'd go
Yeah.
from like a forklift to a box truck to one of 3 different levels of shittiness flatbed trucks. Like, I don't know, a car's a car. Like, I'm usually fine driving whatever. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff like that just doesn't bother me as much.
I'm trying to see some trends. One thing I've picked up on is like, I feel like there's a difference between when you have to replace something and when you're like, I could replace it. Like Joseph, like your
Yeah.
phone broke, like you needed a new one.
Yeah.
And Gabe, your car was dangerous to drive. I mean, it was
Yeah.
your hand was kind of forced.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know which one's harder though. I can't figure out which one's harder because like maybe the one if like I don't have to replace it yet because I could hold on to it for longer, right? Like with your bike, Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
But it
I mean-
definitely changes things on like the circumstances around you like replacing something that you love.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I probably could have held on my car for a little bit longer if I really wanted to until like really, really died. But at that point, it's like separating those personal feelings from like I don't know, like the peace of mind that I got out of having a car that I know starts and I know rides very well outweighs the personal attachment I had to the car, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Safety is important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
nice.
like having that reliability is
Yeah.
just such a huge peace of mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's mornings where like I'd turn the key and it would like not start the first turn. It's like, oh fuck, like if I can't make it to work, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I had a situation this last week happen where so I noticed my phone was acting up in the fact that when I was setting it down on tables, it wasn't resting flat. I was able to like spin it around. I'm like, that's interesting. And then I was talking to Gabe and Tim about like, yeah, your battery might be expanding. I'm like, what? So I took off the case and I was looking at it, like there's a little bit of curvature there. And so you look up, phone battery expanding
yeah,
and
those are bombs. They
yeah,
turn
not
into
good.
bombs.
It's a little
You should
dangerous.
have hit it with a hammer.
So it's like, fuck, like I love this phone. Like I don't want to get rid of it. Like I really, really, I love my phone a lot. And I was looking at like prices to like replace the battery, which like it was like $50 to like $80. I'm like, it's not bad, but I don't want to do that, And thankfully, like I called Google support, and they're like, I think because of it was a safety issue with me, they're like, we'll just give you a replacement for free. And I'm like, thank God. So I was able to get a refurbished model of the same phone I had, which I was really thankful for because I really, really didn't want to get a new phone because I just love my Pixel 3 because it's like the perfect size. It has the fingerprint scanner on the back, which they got rid of in the Pixel 4, which I just love having that. And it's just like, this phone is exactly what I want. I don't want to get rid of it, and I'm already dreading having to replace it probably in like a year, or whatever that's gonna be because I'm already very attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I liked the fingerprint reader on the back. Then I got an in-screen
Yeah,
fingerprint
so I was
reader.
gonna say that's
Ooh, it's nice. It's nice. I tell you what.
I love. I mean, like on the back fingerprint, you can swipe on it and it'll bring down the top notification bar, and that's so fucking nice.
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
do like, but you can swipe from the bottom half and it'll do the same thing on the new phones. I mean the taller ones, right?
That's good. Yeah, 'cause I just have a hard time with those really, really big phones. My hands aren't that big.
Yeah, I mean neither are mine. I just like having more screen, you know, for the 2 times I watch Netflix a year on my phone.
For when you're playing hardcore games.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
playing Fortnite Mobile.
I play Call of Duty, PUBG, and Fortnite Mobile.
Yeah,
And
dude.
Hearthstone. You need all that extra real estate.
Yeah, I need to.
It actually
read
helps
the
on
cards.
Hearthstone because shit
It
is
does.
small. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So Joseph, you mentioned that you have like knickknacks you're nostalgic for.
Yeah.
Gabe and Dayton, do you guys have similar affinities? Like, do you find yourself attached to like smaller objects, stuff like that? You
Not
like
not
nostalgic
like
for old like concert ticket stubs and stuff like that?
not like a ton. I mean, like I have like one thing on my desk that I would say is like nostalgic, and it's a hockey puck that one of my good friends gave me for like my graduation, for like my high school graduation, and it's like it says Pond Hockey League, Dayton Packs 2015 Rookie of the Year, because that was like the first year that I really started playing ice hockey, um, and I don't know, it just I have fond memories attached to that.
Hmm.
I
Are you
guess,
good?
I guess for me, it's tricky because it's like obviously I just moved, and like going through some of my stuff, it's like wow, I didn't even know I had this. But at the same time, it's like where would I put it? And
Yeah.
I don't want to throw it away at the same time. Where
Yeah.
there, when I did see it, it like brought me a lot of like joy. I guess
Did it spark joy?
it did. Uh, but it was just I don't know. It definitely depends on the object and if it. I think the big thing for me is if it ties to like a memory, or
Yeah.
if it ties to a person that I like care about. I guess so. I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends, and I don't really know where to put those things because it kind of adds clutter, right?
Bring
And
them to
it's
your
funny
work
because like,
desk.
I could do that honestly. It's not a bad idea.
well, I feel like
Should
it's
I?
weird because like if you set them out and you see them more often, they'll lose that like specialness because it becomes part of your day to day life and what's in your field of view all the time, as
Right.
opposed to like, oh, what's this box and opening it like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like if
Yeah.
you see it every day, it's gonna lose that.
Yeah. Like I guess a good example of that is there's the picture. So Emily, she's been on the podcast before, but when I didn't graduate, but all you guys graduated, she got us all pictures, a picture of us all on our garage roof. All of us. Yep,
And
that's the
showing it to
one
the
that
camera
Dayton
now.
showed.
Yeah.
That we have that in our living room, and that photo means a lot to me. But I
Hmm.
see it every day now. It's just kind of it does kind of like cheapen its value a little bit. But
Yeah.
again, if I actually sit down and appreciate it, I'm like this photo brings me a lot of happiness. But
Hmm.
definitely not as much as if it was like buried away for like a month. I was like, holy fuck.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely like photos are more sentimental about than like items, which is nice because photos will take up a lot of clutter, especially if they're on your phone. But like I've like tried to be sentimental in the past because it seems like people are sentimental. It seems like a thing a person should do.
Are you a
As
robot?
exactly. I'm like, oh, I'll keep
He's
these
Mark
concert,
Zuckerberg, dude.
Yeah.
I'll keep these concert ticket stubs, or I'll keep this like I don't know random thing, and then I'll come across it later. I'm just like, eh, like this is just taking up space. Like I don't know. I've never been that sentimental for items, and I feel like I've been doubling down on that a little bit more recently because like whenever I go home to my parents' house, you don't really notice when you live there, but like coming back to a place after not living there for a while, like whenever I go to their house now, I'm like there is just shit everywhere and it is intoxicating and I cannot stand it. And I'm like, how is there just mounds and mounds of just random shit every like it's like makes me want to be even more minimalist than I'm trying to be, which I know Dayton's kind of the four of us probably the most minimalist, but um I'm moving around a lot in the next couple months and I'm definitely gonna take that to like I feel like I've cut down on my personal possessions a good amount in the past few years, but when moving, it's a good time too to kind of start chopping stuff out.
Hmm.
Because I just don't want to become that kind of person who you come into their house and there's just essentially garbage just laying around. So
I mean, when I moved from graduating to Minneapolis, we could put all my stuff in just my car. Well, the
mhm.
Jeep, which has more space than the Golf. But god damn it, get nostalgic again. Anyways, I could have put all my possessions into it, but still, I still held on to stuff I probably didn't need.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Even going back to the photos thing though, I definitely hold on to photos. Like, so I still have photos of me and like my past girlfriend, which I don't really feel the need to like delete because I know some people like they break up and like, oh, I gotta delete all memories of this person. But to me,
yeah,
there's still good memories. So it's like,
that
I
seems
don't know.
kind of like immature. I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah, I just can't bring. I think it's kind of silly to delete like them if they still bring a good memory to me. Like I'm not like salty about the relationship or like in like that phase of like I don't know sulking. It's
You're not in
just
like the
okay.
anger phase of
Right.
of the 5 stages of what is it, grieving?
Grief, yeah.
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 No, to me, it's just like that was a memory, and I remember that being a good day. So like, why would I get rid of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people who do that, where they erase their old pictures with their significant others, it's like they're trying to erase the past, which is just dumb because that it all happened and you grew as a person.
It
And
doesn't
I feel
work
like if
like
you
that.
delete those memories, and you are just reverting to the person you were before the relationship, which is stupid. Like, you should learn from everything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think. I don't know. I just don't see the point in it. But I know a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
It's odd.
So Dayton, I feel like our second topic is actually more connected to this first than I thought, but we had a daily double with Dayton tonight. So do you want to intro our second topic? If you remember
Forgot. Forgot.
hobby regrets.
Oh, hobby regrets. Yeah, the title of what our Twitch stream is right now.
that you wrote yourself.
Sorry, okay, my mind's been wandering, thinking of these tangents we've been talking about. But yeah, so hobby regrets. This started. I don't know how this one started. I don't have a story to back this one up or anything. So sorry.
It was a while ago, so I don't blame you.
But I want to talk about like things that we wish that we knew when we first started like our favorite hobbies. So like for me, I would say like my favorite hobbies probably are like mountain biking, hiking / backpacking with like more of a stress on backpacking versus hiking. And then like tech, like computers and stuff like that. And then as like a bonus, I put in like job / career, like things that I wish that I would have known about starting like my first job when I first started a year ago, because it's coming up on like a year that I've been working full time now. So I'll talk about mountain biking first, just because I've talked about it a little bit this episode, and I know that all 4 of us have experience with mountain biking. So I know in my experience, like when I first started, I started off on a hardtail, probably pretty similar to Gabe's hardtail, like just pretty like middle of the line, like bike, like nothing.
Say low tier.
Nothing. Well, I actually don't remember like what components were on it, because I only had it for like a season. But like, I started mountain biking. I was like, oh yeah, this is really fun. I definitely am gonna stick with this. And then like I rushed into buying like a new full suspension bike, because to me that was like the next like obvious step. It's like, oh, like if I get a full suspension bike, like I'm gonna be able to like go ride more trails or whatever. But like now that I've been riding for a while, I've realized that you can bike at least like 95% of the trails out there with a hardtail bike, which is just like one with front suspension. And it's just like your own skills are holding you back. So like if you're worried about like spending too much money on it, like just go with like a slightly like lower tiered bike and just progress your skills from that. Because I mean, obviously it saves you money, and then also you won't ride your bike as a crutch. Then your skills will actually develop. So like, for example, like someone who like basically started riding on a full suspension bike, they might like just like bomb through like rock gardens, instead of actually like picking a path, just because they can just like the full suspension smooths it out. It's more forgiving. So yeah, if you start on like a lower end bike, or even just like one that just has front suspension, you're going to be learning a lot more, which will end up making you better.
Yeah, that's a good sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go to Joseph next. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on snowboarding, things you would wish you would have known, or skiing, I guess.
I don't know, because I started it when I was so young that like I don't know, I never like I mean, like I started skiing when I was how old was I? Probably like 5 or 6. So like obviously I didn't buy my first pair of skis because I was like a kid, you know. And then like I started snowboarding in middle school. So like even then my parents had bought my first snowboard. So it wasn't like I had any like gear things that I wish I would have done better, other than like my helmet that I had for a while sucked dick. It hurt my ears. That sucked. Try on your helmets, kids, before you buy one. Holy shit. It had like plastic ear cups in it,
Ugh.
and like my ears would just be like red. Like there was some padding, but there was so much like compressive force on it
Mhm.
that I don't know, my ears would just hurt. And I had that for way too long too. Um,
Also, like, buy a helmet. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't wear a helmet honestly until I was like second year at tech.
yeah. And I remember I went skiing with you, and you're like, "Oh, I don't need a helmet." And I was like, "Dude, you're renting skis. The helmet comes with. Just get it." And then we went on the T-bar. And was the first thing that happened on the T-bar, Jacob?
Ate shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wear a helmet. It's the warmest hat you'll ever have.
Mhm.
Um, so like in that respect, I never really had anything like super that I would, like in Dayton's case where it's like I wish I hadn't bought this, or I wish I had when I started. But I would say like since I don't know, it's just one of those things like you're like since teaching people, because I've taught more people how to ski and snowboard since, like the more I've done it, and like it's I don't know how to the best experience is similar experiences, I guess, because like Dayton, when you started learning, like you had been ice skating for a while, and like you're a good ice skater.
Mhm.
And so like the skills along with skiing came pretty naturally for the most
Mhm.
part.
Mhm.
And like I've taught people who've never ice skated or had done anything similar in their life, and they just have a hard time or trusting the gear,
Mhm.
and like the skis they want to ski, like they want to
They want to go
they
down the
do.
mountain.
Yeah, like that's what they're designed to do. So like I guess like advice for a new person, not that I really had an issue because I was so young that I didn't give a fuck, when I started learning, but like is to trust the gear you use. And that goes along with anything. And I'm starting to learn that with biking is like to trust my bike, when I'm riding trails and stuff, because the bike wants to keep moving,
Yeah.
it wants to get over these obstacles, and so that trust element can really help you and make you a lot safer of an athlete, I guess,
Mhm.
where like because I know like I've had issues going too slow over a feature, um or well, like in skiing, not to rag on my mom, she's a good skier, but she takes these like horribly slow turns, and she like gets down the hill and she's like, "Man, I'm exhausted." I'm like, "Yeah, because you were fighting your skis the entire time."
Mhm.
Like they want to like obviously I'm not saying to just fucking bomb down, but to like let them kind of go a little bit, But like
Yeah.
I had
I'm
a
obviously not
very
going to tell my mom to like how to ski.
yeah.
Don't feel like getting hit. So,
I had a very similar experience with mountain biking. The first time I went mountain biking, it was downhill mountain biking in Colorado, um, going down Vail.
that's a way to learn.
It is, and I'll tell you what, I'm glad I figured shit out. And I really learned you have to trust the bike, and because if you don't trust the bike, you're gonna have a really bad time. You're gonna crash. Like when you're downhill biking, mountain biking, momentum is everything. And granted, you have to make sure to like stop the momentum enough when you're turning and on dangerous parts, I guess. But like you're not gonna get over certain hills, and you're not gonna get over features if you're not going fast enough. Um,
Mhm.
and thankfully I figured that out pretty quick. So my friends who had a little more experience was kind of talking about it. But my brother came with us on one of the runs, and he has kept crashing, and I felt so bad for him. But it was because he was braking his way too much, and kind of just falling over the bike, and
Probably breaking into corners.
yeah, and he just wasn't trusting the bike enough. And so in certain sports like that, you really gotta trust your equipment to do what it's like made to do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the thing is like they make the equipment to handle that terrain,
Yeah,
those features, so it's not like it's not like you're, trying to drive an SUV through a racetrack, or like a race car through, a fucking
dirt
off-road
road.
trail.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, like you're using the equipment as it's designed. That's in its element. Like that's how it's gonna want to handle the best it can. So,
Mhm. Yeah, that
and
kind of ties into one of my like my other things about mountain biking, because you said like the bike wants to keep moving forward. And one of the things that I was gonna say was that like so many like sketchy situations can be like evaded by just like shifting your body weight back, like throwing like your butt over the rear tire, because then it just like it unweights the front of your tire or your front tire, and then you're not gonna go over the bars. You just kind of smoothed it out, and then you just ride over it.
Gabe, do you have any hobby regrets or advice?
Yeah, the first time I went mountain biking, it was.
This is the mountain biking episode, man.
Yeah. No, I mean it's kind of part of the theme, I guess. But
Yeah.
I went with Dayton and Josh, and we went down a trail called Don't Think, and
Was
I
it-
thought a
It's
lot.
such a very aptly named trail.
It's a very very flowy downhill trail, and I went over the handlebars like 4 times. And partly it was because I didn't know what was the front, what was the back brake, and I
So you
wasn't
just
doing
grabbed
it
a fistful of both.
I just like freaked out and like went over the handlebars a lot. But I guess I kind of see snowboarding kind of being the same way. Where like Joseph, I started snowboarding in middle school, so the equipment was pretty much kind of given to me. But I should have worn a helmet. Helmet's a good piece of advice. But I guess like going off of trusting the equipment, I also think that it's important to some degree to trust yourself and keep the lights on. As far as like, there's always going to be that part, at least for me, in the back of my brain that's like, okay, this is dangerous. Like, be a little careful, right? But you don't want that to take over and cloud your ability to get down the hill or to get over the feature or whatever. I remember one time I was going up the ski lift with Joseph's dad at Mount Bohemia, and there's just some people that go there that just like they turn off their fucking brains and they just haul down the mountain, like fucking hut cliffs literally, and just like keep going. And I was always kind of like envious of them a little bit because like, damn, that's super impressive. But then Joseph's dad just like, bunch of fucking idiots. And I was like, what do you mean they're really good? And he's like, yeah, but if they fuck up once, they're done. And it's like, it's kind of a good point. Like having your brain on enough to realize this can hurt me and like keep that in your mind. Like there is some level of danger, but that's also what makes it really exciting. At least for me, it's like, it gives you that rush, right? But also
It's the only way you feel alive.
right. But also like trusting your ability at some point. I mean, like I said, I've been snowboarding forever, and every time I fucking second guess myself in boho, I fucking eat shit. The first run down, almost every time when I go there, I eat it like 3-4 times, and then I'm fine because it's like I second guess myself on a turn or whatever, and it's just being able to trust that like I've done this enough, or I've learned enough about this, or watched enough about this to handle it. And I don't know.
Yeah.
That reminds me of one of my dad's ski buddies, friends. He has 3 rules. Well, he has 4 rules, but only 3 are really
I know
important
exactly where you're
right here.
going.
And you know exactly what I'm gonna say, and it's your brain is your enemy, or speed is your friend, your brain is your enemy, and you can't get hurt in the air. And like it's true to a point, like like when you think too much, that's when you make mistakes, and like going too slow, like that can cause more issues than anything usually. But like obviously it's not the best advice, but it can be very helpful in like situations like that where you're overthinking and you're taking things too cautiously, and that's when you can get hurt.
Like rule number 3, you can't get hurt in the air.
Well, you
won't get
can't.
hurt. You can't get hurt when you're falling off the cliff. You'll hurt really fucking bad when you hit the ground.
R//
But as long as you land,
Yeah.
but as long as you land correctly, like that's not always, like pick your line, but like a big jump it's in itself is not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like you see people that do like the Olympic ski jump, they don't get hurt in the air. They take massive fucking jumps.
Unless they land on the flat.
Can I say
They didn't get hurt
They
in the
don't
air,
clear
though.
it. Oh my god.
I'm not saying the rules are wrong. I'm worried about what it implies.
Why is you can't get hurt in the air?
I guess I have like one quick one on like a non-sport related hobby. For computers, I got in computers probably in high school. Still been in them. I work in computers now. Uh, but I should have, when I first built my computer, I wanted to build it really early, so I didn't spend as much as I should have, and that's when I learned about diminishing returns
I
and
was just about to bring this up, Gabe.
how if you don't, you at some point you have to spend a certain amount of money to get something quality, right? If you spend too little, it may be worth dog shit. I.e., even like looking at when I went to buy a car, I wanted to spend like $8,000 to $10,000. Those cars were like 60 to 80,000 miles and like old, or I could spend a little bit more and get something that was way better. Like it was a way more recent year and it had way less miles. And it's the same thing with computers. Like if you're gonna buy a fucking $50 processor, like don't even fucking bother. Save up your money. Just get something that actually can last or can do what it's meant to do. Because I completely rebuilt my computer a year later, and I still rebuilt my computer this year. I just should have learned that.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up that exact same thing, Gabe. With technology, it always is worth it to go that little bit more, because you will definitely it'll save you money in the future. Like
Yep.
like laptops, for example. Like the first laptop I got into college, I'm like, oh, I could spend 400 or 600. I'll just spend the 400, like whatever, it'll be fine. And like that laptop started slowing down immediately. Like within like months, it was complete dog shit. And I'm just like, fucking, I got another laptop, did the same thing, and it happened again. And then my most recent laptop, I'm like, fuck it, like I'm gonna spend a little bit more, I'm gonna spend like 850, and just get like I know the specs are good, like I don't know it'll be good. It's a little bit more than I like was planning on spending, but I think it'll be fine, and I haven't had an issue with it since. Like it's a great laptop, does exactly what we need it to do, is always fast, like, and same with the computer parts, Gabe. Like my first build, I wish I would have gotten a little bit better graphics card, because I ended up replacing that one I got very quickly because it just wasn't good. So I think
Lifetime spending, you're gonna spend more if you
exactly.
go that cheap.
And what's hard is like when you start that cycle, you repeat the cycle. Because like when it's time to upgrade, you go for the little bit less again, and you just keep getting fucked. So it's just worth it to get a little bit ahead of the curve early, so then you can kind of stay ahead of the curve the entire time. Um, so yeah, I think with technology, it's always worth it to go a little bit extra.
I mean, even
I would
going
even
there goes his phone bit. Like if you would have bought
Exactly.
a cheap phone, like I don't know, lifetime, you'd be spending more.
yeah, I would even push that further to technology and anything between you and the ground. That those are the two things I refuse to cheap out on. Shoes, don't buy cheap shoes. Your back is gonna hate you.
Mhm.
Don't buy a cheap mattress. Your back is gonna hate you. Don't buy cheap tires or a cheap car. Because guess what? Your back is gonna hate you. Like it's just gonna be like anything between you and the ground is worth investing in. And that's a piece of advice I've picked up along the way and like taken to heart. Where it's like, when I was in cross country in high school, like one year I just bought cheap shoes because I was a broke high school student. My feet fucking hated it. And then the next year I like was like, fine, I'll buy like a decent pair, and they'll last me a bit longer. And goddamn, it was way less injuries that year, because it's just better shoes, taking care of yourself. So
And it sucks. Everything we're talking about is obviously like cost prohibitive to some extent.
yeah,
But hopefully, maybe it takes more time. You need to save longer to get something quality, because it'll definitely be worth it in the end.
Yeah,
And like we
it's
said,
like
lifetime spending will be reduced.
it's just a delayed gratification thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Switching gears a little bit to music. I remember, so when I was a kid, I did piano lessons for a while, and then when I got to middle school, I started playing an instrument. I played clarinet. Sexy, am I right?
wow.
And then I'm switching to saxophone. But in that time, I stopped. I was doing piano and an instrument for a while, and I'm just like, fuck it, like I just don't want to do both. Like it's just a lot, and I hate practicing. So I stopped playing piano, and then I kept doing saxophone, and then stopped playing saxophone because I just didn't want to practice. Um, but what ended up happening was like senior year, or even just like near in a band, there was a few kids in my class who were really, really good. I'll talk about before, but I learned that if you know piano, you can play a lot of shit. Like it just opens the doors to a lot of things, just knowing those like chords and just stuff like that. So I regret not sticking with piano, because that might have helped me out later, or maybe would have stuck with music longer. Um, but then the other flip side of that coin, me and Gabe talked about this recently. Like, uh, maybe it's grass is always greener, but I kind of wish I did choir instead of band, because you don't need an instrument to sing, and it's just a lot easier to just do in general. 'Cause I really enjoy singing, but I'm just dog shit at it. Um, and so I wish I would have done choir instead, because that's a skill you can kind of just have for the rest of your life without having to take care of an instrument. So I wish I would have done that.
Yeah, I wish. I took guitar lessons for like a month when I was younger, and I wish I would have stuck with it because I listened to a lot of music with guitar, and I tried to say tried. I have been trying to still like pick it back up. It just, I mean, I'm a lot more busy, and it's like a lot harder for me to stick with it. I mean, when you're younger, you have a lot less responsibilities. So,
Hmm.
I mean, and yeah, you also have what's the neuroplasticity or whatever. I'm saying it wrong. It
Well,
basically
yeah,
when
you
you're
just learn
younger,
things faster.
you learn things easier when you're younger. So I definitely regret not doing that or being able to sing because both of those cost a lot of money now. Like being an adult taking those lessons,
Yeah,
it is
yeah, they
not
really
cheap.
fuck you.
Yeah, it's like 20 to 30 bucks a lesson. You do that like once a week, it adds up really quick.
Mhm. But I mean, like I said, I feel like with a lot of things where it's like, oh, I should have done that instead of that. I always see grass is always greener stuff, and then on the opposite side, like, oh, I wish I would have done band instead of choir. It's like, it's so hard to know if you would have actually been happier.
And that's the thing. Like, what if I spent that time and then I didn't ever snowboard or I didn't ever learn how computers, like, I didn't understand that I like computers, which I literally made a career out of,
Mhm.
like, it's always a what if, I guess.
Dave, do you have any other big hobby regrets?
Um, I wouldn't say really like regrets, but like lessons learned like about like backpacking is that there's no right, but there's definitely wrong. Um,
Yep.
and and by wrong, I'm not talking necessarily about like gear choices or stuff like that, but maybe like lack of gear choices. So like the amount of people that like don't take like even like a simple first aid kit, or don't know like when to call it quits. Um, so I think just like that, of course, comes with experience or being able to listen to people who have the experience and being humble enough to take what they're actually telling you and not be like, oh, whatever, this person doesn't know me, like they can't tell me what to do, which I'm very guilty of that myself, so I can't even talk that much. But yeah, it just comes with experience, like knowing like what you need to take for each trip, um and so you don't overpack. But yeah.
And that's another like safety thing. Like you could literally die if you don't prepare enough for certain
Yeah,
situations.
and like of course, like depending on your location, like it's gonna differ. Like if you're hiking in like a somewhat like populated area or even like on a popular trail, like you can take bigger risks because there's a bigger support network. Like you
Yep.
probably get cell service. So like if
Hmm.
you get like like stranded or whatever, you can just call someone and have them find you with like food or whatever. So
Hmm. I
yeah.
mean, that's another like just general. I feel like advice for like anything is like don't let your pride, you know, cloud your ability to ask for help or ask an
Mm-hmm.
expert, because
Yep.
in some situations you could die
Yeah.
because of your pride. So,
Yeah.
last one, I wrote this down. I wrote down some answers for this because I was had a hard time thinking and stuff. But the last one I had was cooking related, um, and it's not really like a regret because I don't know, what I would have done instead. But when I first started learning to cook, I was in New Zealand and I did it because I had to. It was the first time living alone in an apartment. I was like, well, shit. In New Zealand, everything closes really early compared to the U.S. And I didn't want to spend a lot of money going out to eat and stuff. So I guess I gotta learn how to cook meals and stuff, and just look up recipes or easy stuff, and then just kind of figure it out as I went. Like first time I got like a bell pepper, I had to Google, okay, how do you cut this effectively? Like how do you cut an onion well? Like what's like the correct technique? And I just kind of just picked up things from Googling it and over the years, and followed recipes and just kind of figured shit out and yada yada yada. But Joseph and I a while ago were watching a cooking show on Netflix, The Chef Show, which I'm a big fan of, and the chef on that show was talking about when you're cooking vegetables and just a lot of things, you should just be seasoning consistently. You're just like always salting or seasoning when you're cooking stuff. And that's something I never knew because it's not really in recipes, and I never like saw it on YouTube video. I just wish I would have learned that sooner because now it's really hard for me to do that because you know it's not ingrained in my cooking routine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a hard thing for me to try to like remember to do now. Is just like, oh, I got to keep seasoning, and maybe it's a thing where I should take like I don't know, a cooking class or something. But I wish I would have learned that sooner because now it's really hard to adapt those new techniques, I guess, routines. So
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Did your cookbook that you got, like your science of cooking one, did that talk
Mhm.
about that at all?
I haven't read the vegetable like science chapter yet. I
Okay.
need to like actually go in and read a lot more of like the content between recipes in that book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always am like, I need to read this more, and then I forget, and then it's time to cook something. I just go straight to the recipes instead of reading all like the science behind it. So I definitely want to try to find more time to actually read it, but I'm sure it does because it has to do with like the opening of pores and stuff. I know, like in the
Yeah, because like
when you're heating.
immediately when you talked about that, I started thinking about just like diffusion. Like
Mhm.
if your vegetables are hot and you season it, then like the longer that you have it in there, the longer that the seasonings will get, or like the deeper that the seasonings will get into your vegetables. So like the food will be more consistently tasting instead of like just being able to like lick the seasoning off of like a bell pepper or whatever. Like it's no
Yep.
different than having like salted peanuts. Like you
Yep.
lick the shell and it's salty, but you eat the insides and it's just plain.
hmm Even when you just like salt something on a plate, it'll like just fall off, and you just
Yep.
won't taste it.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and another thing I guess I just thought of with cooking, it's similar to like we were talking about tech. It's like going that extra little bit can really, really enhance like a meal. Like I'm bad about this, right? Cut corners in cooking all the time, where it's like if I find a recipe and it like calls for like you know Marin or like a white wine in the sauce, I'm like I'm not gonna buy some white wine. Like I'm just gonna make it without that, and it'll be fine. And it's usually fine, but like adding those extra little things really helps. Like um, for a while now, I've been doing overnight oats for breakfast. I just mix up some stuff at night, put it in the fridge, and eat in the morning. And I do like this apple cinnamon one. And the recipe I use calls for vanilla extract and maple syrup. And since I'm about to leave this apartment, I haven't bought any. I ran out of those, and I wasn't gonna buy anything else because I'm not gonna use them in time, which is fine. But then I made it without those two things, and I didn't think I would notice much of a difference because there's so little of them in the recipe. But I could really, really miss a richness and flavor. I'm like, damn, like that's in the recipe for a reason. Like they didn't just throw that in because it looks better. Like I mean, everything's there for a purpose. Or even
Mhm.
something as simple as like marinating your meat a day before, or brining your chicken breast with like salt ahead of time and like pounding it like flat and level so it cooks more evenly. Like you can get away with not doing that and you'll be fine and you'll live. Like it's not gonna
Mhm.
poison you if you don't do those things. But going that extra step will really, really enhance the flavor in the meal. So I definitely want to try doing those things more often in the future. But it's hard to, like I said, to break those habits.
Definitely.
Especially with like those ingredients that you're not going to use that often.
Yeah.
Like I have never bought vinegar, and I know that vinegar is a really important aspect in cooking, but I don't use it. I never use it, or I never cook a recipe often enough that would use it for
hmm
me to justify buying it. And like you really need like two or three different types of vinegar to like, because they all have different flavors and like
hmm
kind of react differently. And like even like you were saying white wine, like I don't drink wine, why would I buy wine?
hmm
I'm
hmm
gonna buy a bottle of wine that I'm not gonna drink for a recipe that I'm gonna cook once or twice,
I don't know,
you
dude.
know.
I think I can think of a few ways to finish that bottle of wine.
Yeah, but I'm not a big fan of wine, so
Neither
I
am
don't know.
I.
I mean,
Hey,
yeah.
duty calls, all right?
Yeah, dude.
You can't just let it sit there.
I
I mean, it's
mean,
not, that's the thing too is like those ingredients won't go bad though. So it's like you could literally buy them and then just keep them for essentially forever.
oh yeah.
And that's the thing I want to try to do in a
But
more
then it's
stable living
clutter. It
situation.
takes up space.
Yeah, but it's in the kitchen. Like, it's not like it's in your living space.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't know. With the cabinet space we have, it might be.
yeah, that's true.
What, does your
But
roommate
it
take it all
also,
up?
Huh?
Does your roommate take it all up with his spick and span cast iron pans? Off the
Nice.
dome! Off the
Off the
dome!
Oh
Dane, you
my
haven't
God.
seen their kitchen, but I can confirm it is not enough cabinets for 3 people.
Oh
No.
Like,
no.
it's not ideal.
It's not. You can't even like cook in it with more than one person.
Huh.
Yeah. It's tight.
But it also depends on like your equipment too, because like now that I have stainless steel pans, that like changes how I cook, because
Yeah.
you have to use those differently than you would nonstick. Like in stainless steel, you have to expect that shit's gonna stick to it while you're cooking, but that can be a good thing, so you can make pan sauces. And you actually use alcohol, like a white wine or a Marin, to break up the bits that are stuck in the pan. You can use that to make a sauce, and then put that with whatever you're making. So I definitely want to try that shit out this year. I'm really excited to actually do that kind of stuff. So you kind of, and I just obviously did a whole upgrade of my kitchen equipment because I had to get it for the first time, and it definitely opens more doors that you wouldn't have just with a standard set of shit from Target. So it depends what, like, these are all hobbies, right? There's all things that we care about, and the more you care about something, the more you're willing to put into it, time and money wise. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening to our episode of the podcast. As always, you can find us every Monday on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Play. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EWF Podcast, and follow us on Twitch at EWF_podcast. Especially go subscribe on YouTube, please. That will really help us out in the future for sure. So go give us those views if you want
And
to.
no one sees them.
Ring
know,
that
pretty sweet.
MFing bell.
You're making Gabe sad.
Don't you want to see our beautiful faces and watch us talk? Like, actually see us moving our mouse when we talk about shit.
No,
That's
apparently
overrated.
not.
Apparently yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.